hustle got to be strong in this industry, as in any other industry.
Good morning. So the question is, as an owner-operator, how much time can you take off? What is the norm? What is the normal amount of time to take off as an owner-operator after being out for a while? So, this question, like with a lot of these questions, has a lot of variables. And most of it depends on you as a person. So, I'm going to answer this for me personally. Since I'm giving you guys my information, you guys can tell by what I'm giving you what my results are. So that should give you a general idea of how to gauge what you want to do and what you should get result wise. So me personally, I don't really set a real time frame. I'll be honest, when I first started doing this, it was almost like it was almost like a competitive thing to see how long I could stay out without going home. I don't know. It's kind of like that the driver part of me that's in my blood, I guess. It's almost like you're not a real driver. You're not really doing anything unless you're gone from home for a long period of time, putting that work in. So I've changed how I do things a lot since then. So now, anyhow, I don't really put a time frame on it. I have a general idea of what I need to do. Like, basically, I'm looking at it. I know how much money I can make. I know what the average amount of money I make is. I know what I need to do in order to make that money. So I have a general idea how long I intend to be out. Hey, squirrel moment. This guy's got a skeleton hanging from his rear view mirror. One of the skeletons I got. Eating a cooling guy. But anyhow, so what I was saying is that I have a general idea. So I go into it and I know, okay, I want to put in 3 weeks or a month. And then as far as how much time I want to take off, a lot of that's going to depend on, holidays and whatnot. Just a normal time of year. Let's say no holidays are coming up or anything. The norm for me is to be home. I'll be out about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and then come home for about a week. I'd say about a week. I average probably a little over a week a month of being home. So, and that all is dependent on what my bills are. How much money do I need to make? So how long do I need to stay out there grinding? Has there been any repairs? Like recently, I didn't intend on coming back in until the 20th or 21st. But I ended up coming in 2 weeks prior to that. And that's because, things dictated at home. The old lady, she started, she's depressed, just feeling overwhelmed with things, just wasn't feeling well. So I deadheaded home from Louisiana, and I came home. And I've been home for 17 days, 16, 17 days. And during that time, I've had all 3 vans. I've had work done on all 3, so I've had a lot of money going out, very little money coming in because all the vans have been down for the most part. I've been home, and I'm the main point of revenue for myself. So those things come into play. So as I said, I've been home for 17 days. Didn't intend to. My intention was be home 20th, 21st, be home for a couple of days. Well, the week of Thanksgiving. Then I was going to go back out after the 29th. I was going to go back out on the 30th. And then I was going to grind until right around Christmas. And then take a couple of weeks off for Christmas and New Year. So it just really depends on how you manage your money and what your finances are and all of those things. But if I had to give you a norm for me, a norm is about 7 to 10 days per month that I'm out of service, completely out of service, not looking for a load. And so I'm out for 2 to 3 weeks, in between there. Lately, last few years, I don't think I've been out longer than a month and a half straight, and I've only done that like once or twice. The norm has really become about 3 weeks, and then I'm home. But again, that's all going to change depending on how you are. You know, so many people, you know, they do like being home. That's the type of person they are. I'm not really that type. Like, I'd like to be home, but at the same time, I love being on the road. So I've got to have a good mix of both, and so it makes it easier for me to deal with it, you know, as far as being gone. I'm trying to, again, I have goals that I'm trying to achieve, and in order to achieve those goals, there's certain sacrifices and work that I have to put in until I get there. So hopefully that answered the question, 2 questions. 1, how long do you normally stay out? 2, how long do you normally go home? And again, as an owner-operator, you can do it whenever you want. 'Cause that's kind of, I want to tie that in here too, because I've had the question also, how much time can you take off as an owner-operator? And again, that comes down to your finances. Now, most carriers, I shouldn't even say most, but there are carriers that are going to want you to be in service way more than you're out of service. So if your intention is to be a part-timer, now you can tell whatever carrier you're planning on getting with, like, hey, this is my intention, and then you guys have it all up front, and then you guys can work it out from there. Everybody's, you know, every carrier is going to be a little different, but, you know, there are carriers out there that you're of no use to them unless you're in service. Like, unless you're making them money, they have no use for you. You're just taking up a roster spot sometimes. You know, and that's going to be with carriers that don't like to oversaturate their fleet, or their, you know, the owner operators that they lease on. So yeah, taking the time off, you can take as much time off as you want. As I said, now again, I'm under my own authority now, but I've done this. I've had similar situations come up when I was with Barrett and when I was with BGS, that if I needed to go home, and that's another part of taking time off. Like, what I started off saying on all this is, I don't plan my time, I kind of roll with it. And that, to me, I found that's the best way to do it. Because if you plan like, hey, all right, I'm going out February 1st and I'm not coming home until March 13th, freight may not be moving that well then. You may have breakdowns in between then. And now you're trying to say, oh, well, you know, say you was broke down, or you had a really bad week or 2 weeks, and you're like, man, I got to go home on the 13th and I ain't making no money. So what I tend to do is I go out. Like I said, I have a basic idea of how long I want to be out, but how long I stay out sometimes is dictated by how work is going and how personal things are going. So I just basically go. Even when I was with Barrett and with VGS, I rarely said, hey, I need to be home here on this date. I don't do that, because when you're with the carrier, the week that you're trying to go home, a week before you're trying to go home, sometimes those are like one of your worst weeks, because if they get you near home on, say you want to be home Friday or Saturday, and you get near home on Monday, you're pretty much not going to get shit from Monday until Friday, because they're like, hey, we move him very far from here, we don't know if we're going to be able to get him back. And they know that drivers get all disgruntled with that shit and start taking it out on the dispatch. Oh, they couldn't get me home. I put in for home time. It's not that easy. They're not a travel agency. They're just not. It doesn't work that way. So if you know that ahead of time, you understand, like, okay, I'm going to be out, and say you've landed home at the right time. It's like, okay, I'm just calling in. I'm saying I'm out. Now, I believe there are some carriers that make you give them a week or 2 weeks notice or some stupid shit like that. And to be honest, they require that of you. F them, man, for real. Like, that's just stupid. In my opinion. Again, I don't know what your guys' take on it, but you're an owner-operator especially. You should get to dictate, you know, when you want to get off. Like, you know, they're a service that they're providing for you, and you are providing a service for them. You guys are offering mutually beneficial services to each other. One should not have the upper hand on the other. Unfortunately, they do, and they know that. That's why they treat some of the, you know, a lot of us like they do, but you got to try to understand those things and just remember those things. But, you know, now if you're driving for a fleet owner, obviously you got to have an agreement with your fleet owner on how to do things. But again, as an owner-operator, the way I've operated is I basically run until I feel it's the right time to go ahead. Because there's sometimes I've been out long enough and the van just starts to feel like it's falling apart under me. Like I feel like I just need to take a break. I need to give the van a break. And so it's like I get a load close to the house, boop, I'm done. I'm out of service. I'm heading home. If I'm having a really bad week, you know, or maybe I've had a bad couple weeks and I just can't seem to get anything going, I'm near the house. Sometimes I've even been 1,000+ miles from the house. I'm like, I'm done. Going home, I'm going to lick my wounds, and I'm going to reset, come back out at the beginning of a fresh week, you know. Got a whole new fresh week, and maybe things will be different. Change the mojo, change your karma, luck, whatever you want to call it. So I just to reiterate, I find it easier and more beneficial, and I find it works better to keep everything kind of open and play it by ear. And yeah, that just seems to work out better. Now, granted, some people like to have rigid schedules and they got to do it this way. And to be honest, the people that want to have a real strict schedule, those are the ones that tend to not take to this lifestyle and this job very well. So if you're one of those types and you haven't gotten into this yet and you're researching it, you know, make sure you're taking that into consideration that I'm saying that. I mean, ask around if you watch other channels, you talk to drivers by chance. I mean, it's just, this is not a job or a lifestyle that you can really make a set schedule unless you are not needing to make very much money. If you do not need to make very much money and you can come out here and just kind of, you know, call all the shots you want, sure as shit, yeah, you can make all the scheduling you want. You can stick to it and have no problems. But if you're out here and you're trying to make as much money as you possibly can, trying to follow a real strict schedule is not going to work for you. You're going to frustrate yourself. You're going to get really frustrated. Things are going to seem hectic and out of sorts, and you're going to start just feeling like you're just going to be unhappy doing this. So, all right, I'm kind of, as I like to do and tend to do, I'm kind of getting off the subject a little bit, but yeah, that's it, man. I'm out.